Why take one vacation with the family when you could take all of them? With Royal Caribbean, you don't just go to the beach. You visit a private island and race down the tallest water slide in North America. You don't just go for a road trip. You ATV and zip line through the jungle. You don't just go somewhere new. You rappel down waterfalls and discover ancient temples. Because this isn't just any vacation. This is all the vacations. Come seek the Royal Caribbean. Ships Registry, Bahamas.
This episode is brought to you by Pepsi Wild Cherry. Pepsi Wild Cherry is bursting with delicious cherry flavor and a sweet, crisp taste that gives you more to go wild for. Getting wild may look different these days, but whether it's opting for a solo Friday binge watch or a big night out, everyone can indulge in their wild side with Pepsi Wild Cherry. Also available in Zero Sugar. So grab a Pepsi Wild Cherry and get wild.
Hey, do you have an idea for a podcast but don't know where to start? Or do you have an already existing podcast that you want to take to the next level? Well, check out WeKnowPodcasting.com. From concept development to theme music to editing to logos, WeKnowPodcasting.com is a one-stop shop for all things pod. Don't hesitate to hit us up. We're very nice.
There's a party each and every year on Christmas Eve, where the fun and cocktail shrimp don't seem to end. Clark and Ralphie taking turns on the TV screen, laughing, singing, yelling with all of our friends. Well, it's Christmas, and let the parties go spread the holiday cheer.
Hey, Dylan.
Hey, Matt!
It's WrestleMania week, and even if we don't like the WWE that much, it's still exciting because it's kind of like the wrestling Super Bowl.
I love WrestleMania season or WrestleMania weekend more now because I hear about all the crazy shit surrounding the independent scene.
Yeah.
And seeing all the matches that come out of those, which is really unfortunate since we found out Joey Ryan is a shit person because he used to be like,
yeah, kind of the king of
exactly.
season.
So it's kind of awkward because one of my favorite memories is watching like a lot of the stuff he put on. But fuck Joey Ryan. I don't want anybody to take this out of context. Yes, I'm gonna watch WrestleMania.
I mean, here's the thing. I feel like I haven't watched really any wrestling in a hot minute.
Oh, you're missing out on some good AEW, bro.
I mean, I'll watch the AEW pay-per-views for sure. Like, I'll roll in.
It was real good.
It was. I watched it. It was a good show. But, like, I will never... I think at this point in my life, no matter how much I dislike WWF, I'll still never miss a Rumble or a Mania because they just feel like... Well, let me correct that. I'll never miss a Rumble or a Mania so long as I'm watching it with a group of people.
Yes.
Because they are like really good. It's kind of like me watching the Super Bowl. I don't give a fuck about football, but I like watching the Super Bowl with people who like football.
Dude, I would have been fucking livid if I was sitting in my living room and it was just Teddy and I watching the Royal Rumble this year.
But you came and hung out with my
crew
and
you guys, and we had the small hope that Bad Bunny was going to win that Rumble.
I'm doing a 3-day event for WrestleMania this year. We're doing Weird Ass Movie Night, all movies featuring wrestlers for our triple feature.
When is Mania?
It's the first week of April.
Oh, fuck.
It's coming up. If people want to hang out and watch the awkward Friday night Hall of Fame inductions, they can after the movies. And then, it's a 2-day event, which is the best decision they've made about WrestleMania in the last 5 years.
No.
Yep.
No.
I'm not staying up until 2 a.m. So
dude,
I'm
I
glad they're
don't need.
splitting
That's
that shit
the
up.
thing is I think I'm not arguing that you stay up till 2 a.m. I argue that they shorten the fucking show. Guys, we've got to get past this point that longer equals better. It fucking doesn't. Fuck WrestleMania.
But yeah, so we're going to talk about a match that happened on the USWA in December of 1992. You can find it on YouTube. It's all of 7 minutes, and that's all of the stuff leading up to the match. The match itself is about 45 seconds.
Yeah, the match itself. So watching the 7-minute clip of the match, let's say 6 minutes and 10 seconds. And I've pulled up the video just to play kind of in the background as we're watching, and Santa is handing out candy canes. And I'm just so fucking confused because is this the only time we see the Christmas creature?
Yes. So I've done a little bit of research, pulled up some interviews, found out some information. So first and foremost, I'm not sure how much you know about Chikara. It is also not a thing because Quackenbush also turned out to be not a great dude. Yeah. But this feels like some Chikara ass shit when I'm watching this.
Dude, 100%.
So there's something that I love about it. It's one of the best things that WWE produced in the last decade. The Southwestern Wrestling Championship series.
Yeah. With Machine Gun Ken and what's his face, Luke Gallows. That was the best shit that they did for WWE.
And that was...
I want to say Machine Gun Carl Anderson. I don't know why Ken Anderson was in my head.
Because it sounded like you almost were about to say Machine Gun Kelly, and I was like, where is he going with this?
Carl Anderson. The Machine Gun Carl Anderson. Sorry.
But this was like... I remember this was early on where people were like... finally starting to be like, you know what? I don't have to like the John Cena push, but John Cena seems like a good dude who's in on the joke.
Yeah.
And he was the announcer, and he was so good at doing the announcing. It was all about how ridiculous the late 80s, early 90s like territory wrestling scene was.
And it really was, man.
And this is a great example of that.
100%.
And there is something I wrote down in a note, like there is something so comforting about the shitty public access wrestling in the pre-Raw world, where it was just like, this wasn't broadcasted around the globe. This was broadcast to a very small network of stations to watch this bullshit with some, I'm sure, just random hired actor walking around as Santa Claus. They even they're like, we got this town drunk out here walking around like Santa Claus.
And shit like this was going on even well into the 2000s, man. I remember turning to Channel 99 and seeing like local wrestling companies in Maryland. And it's shit like this where it always blows my mind going to an indie show and there's like ongoing storylines and there's people that know about like what's going on with these storylines. I'm like, how the fuck do you know? Is this not like a one-off damn show? What's happening?
So this is my favorite thing about this particular video clip is that the Christmas creature's in the background the whole time and no one is acknowledging it. No, like, and then he comes into the ring. There's no build to the start of this match. It just happens and just like, it's Trey Keller coming up against the Christmas creature.
So I've just pulled it to the point where Jerry Lawler is standing ringside, staring down the Christmas creature. Now I will say, bad booking on their part that we never get a payoff between.
We never get a payoff.
Jerry Lawler and the Christmas creature.
And I love that there's even a build because Jerry Lawler's like, I have a theory that creature's actually someone from the WWF and I can't wait to unmask him. And then Christmas creature was never seen again. Now,
so was this pre Isaac Yankem or post Isaac Yankem?
This is the first wrestling match Glenn Jacobs has ever done. So Glenn Jacobs, I found an interview.
This is before he was anti-mask.
Yeah. He was all about the masks.
He was all about the masks.
So here's a really cool fun fact, actually.
Okay.
I found an interview between Jerry Lawler and Glenn Jacobs talking about the Christmas creature.
Okay.
And Glenn Jacobs provided me two cool pieces of information.
Okay. Could we not get Trey Keller? Oh my God, is Trey Keller dead?
I don't know. Who knows?
Okay. Honestly, as I was saying that, I was like, fuck, that might be fucked up. My bad.
So Jerry Lawler, or not Jerry Lawler, someone else at this wrestling company drew a picture of what the Christmas creature would look like, and Glenn Jacobs' mom made the costume for him. She sewed it together.
Jacobs.
But he's like, it sucks because you can't see it too well on TV, but she was kind of ahead of her time. There was flashing Christmas lights in a battery pack that we had.
Was there
so
really?
Like, yeah, so he's like, apparently like hidden in the tinsel was like twinkling lights, but it didn't show well on TV. My favorite thing about this costume is that he keeps doing this thing where he like holds his head way back, and you can tell that it's because he can't see out the eye holes and needs to like bend his head back far enough to kind of see underneath.
Do you notice that like the costume, the tinsel on the head makes like an old school Road Warrior mohawk.
A little bit. It's dude, guys, all I'm saying is even if you don't like wrestling, and I'm not saying that this is the match to make you get into wrestling because it's certainly not, but it is a sight to be seen.
It is.
It
really is.
This is like arguably one of the dumbest things I've ever seen. And that's something that Glenn Jacobs brings up in his interview is he's like, yeah, there was a lot of bad gimmicks before the Kane one came around. It's like, and this was arguably probably his worst, and it was definitely his most short-lived.
Definitely.
But yeah,
this is right up there with Corporate Kane.
This is, I would take Corporate Kane. Actually, no, I would take Christmas Creature over.
100%. Bring him back now, dude.
Fake Diesel Christmas Creature because I don't want Glenn Jacobs.
No, I don't want Glenn. I don't want Glenn Jacobs anywhere near anything I support anymore. For those of you that don't know, Glenn Jacobs has gone super nuts. I know we don't like to get political on here, although we have multiple times.
Yeah, he became a mayor. And it's been downhill ever since.
Homie is the mayor now, and apparently not even the mayor anymore. He just still goes by the mayor of Knox County, Glenn Jacobs. But Glenn Jacobs is super anti-mask. Like, even when we were at the height of COVID, he was like, our rights are being infringed upon, which is super ironic because this guy spent 90% of his career in a mask.
Yeah.
So that's kind of the funny part.
Not just that, he played most of his career as a character where it was a very bad thing if you took the mask off of him.
Exactly. It was very bad if you took the mask off of him. And then you took the mask off of him and homie was just had a lot of eyeshadow on.
It was like a Bruce.
That shit petrified me. Because when was that? Was that like 2003, 2004?
Probably.
So I was like 11 or 12. So I'm sitting there on my bed. I remember it. And like it's RVD's in the ring because it was when they were tag teaming. And I'm sitting there and they just lost. And I'm like, oh fuck, we're about to get the Kane reveal. And he fucking rips the fucking mask off. And I'm like, oh no. Oh, what is it? And he fucking turns around. I'm like, oh Jesus Christ! And like watching it back, I'm like, why was I scared of this?
But just like a bald guy with some dust on him.
Yeah, that's basically what it was. And it's like like those things that we watch as kids that scare us, and we watch it now. We're like, what the fuck? What was wrong with me?
Why take one vacation with the family when you could take all of them? With Royal Caribbean, you don't just go to the beach. You visit a private island and race down the tallest water slide in North America. You don't just go for a road trip. You ATV and zip line through the jungle. You don't just go somewhere new. You rappel down waterfalls and discover ancient temples. Because this isn't just any vacation. This is all the vacations. Come seek the Royal Caribbean. Ships Registry, Bahamas.
But that was it. And like the fact that like he ripped the mask off, turned around, and then just started beating the shit out of RVD. I was like,
no,
not RVD. And this is where they had Kane grow like they shaved 90% of his head, but left a little bit of the hair for when he took the mask off. So there was still hair on his head. Oh my God. But that was when I liked him.
And he liked masks.
And he liked masks. He was totally.
It's weird how those are on a similar track.
Yeah, it's really weird. We'll put him in a mask again. We'll be all right. But yes, I'm voting if we bring back the Christmas creature. I don't know. We put fucking Dewdrop in it or some shit.
Oh man, sounds like there's a wrestling match happening in your house right now.
I just told Teddy, I said, please come get this cat that has knocked over everything as we're sitting here.
He's pulling a real Rick James. He's just like, fuck your couch.
He did. He said, fuck your refrigerator. He was up on top, and I just see stuff falling, and I'm like, this is the best bits I've had on this show.
Well, hopefully, if you're going to have to force yourself to watch a little bit of WrestleMania, I hope that you consider loading you and Teddy up in the car and swinging
we'll probably
on
be up at least Saturday.
Swinging up to watch a little bit. Maybe we'll be face to face
Yeah. Catch night 1. Sunday night, sorry, bro. I got to work.
No, that's totally fine. That's totally fine.
I'm not going to watch anything else until WrestleMania. That's the thing. Like, I mean, it's exciting to be like, hey, Cody popped up. It's not like I'm going to sit here and watch him. Because I ain't watching this shit. I'm sorry.
Well, that's the thing.
I can't hate watch shit anymore.
The most frustrating thing, we're getting on our wrestling soapboxes like we always do, and that's fine.
This is the perfect episode for it, though.
This is the prime episode for it. It'll be our least listened to episode, just like when we did December to Dismember, but that's fine.
That's a good one, though.
It was a really good one. The most frustrating thing in the world is that the WWE talent roster has never been better. It is the most talented group of people that they've ever had working under their company. And honestly, what it comes down to, and this is what gets me so frustrated, is that it's like, you've even got talented writers. You've got talented creators. You've got talented everything except for 2 people making all of the decisions.
Exactly. How do you have, like, let's just start naming people. How do you have Shinsuke Nakamura, AJ
Sami
Styles, Ricochet, like all these amazing, incredible people?
Owens,
Zayn, Rollins. I mean, I'd say Rollins is probably
Butch.
getting the best. Yeah, Rollins is probably getting the best booking, or was being booked.
Yeah,
the best of all of them. But I think he was making like gold out of shit, honestly. As Rollins does.
Well,
he's
and then,
really
like,
good at what he does.
And you do have those occasionally like, I think that what they're doing with Reigns right now is fantastic. I love
Reigns. The Reigns shit is the best shit that they've done in a long time. This Owens Austin stuff, I don't care.
No, and it's not. I don't even think it's going to be a match. I think it's just going to be like it's going to be a promo segment that ends with a stunner.
He's going to hit a stunner. Like, okay. That
but
happens every WrestleMania. WrestleMania, Austin comes out.
But even like the flip side of that is also like, I like what I've watched of AEW. I enjoy AEW. I think AEW is a very good product. I still will argue that at its peak, NXT was the best shit that was on television.
No, I don't argue with that.
And I don't understand how you can take all of those So that's where it's like, that's where you know that it's just the one dude making the call, because you're taking all these talented writers that knew how to juggle a roster of 50 people and never make it feel like anyone wasn't getting enough time on television, and then bring them up to Raw where suddenly they can't write a story.
Well, that was the thing. And I think people on NXT started to realize that, when I get pulled up, I'm kind of fucked.
Yeah, and then they actively were like, I'm good. I don't want to get
And that's why I stopped watching NXT for a while. The peak of NXT was like pre-AEW. Like, it's when we were getting those fucking pay-per-views, the Nakamura Zayn matches,
I'll still argue that there was never a bad takeover. There
never
was a bad takeover.
Definitely,
you know what I mean? Like it is the most perfect run of pay-per-views from any company. And I don't think that that'll ever be topped. Like, AEW might be able to. We have to see. They have to go like another 4 years. But that's the thing. It's like, and I'm almost kind of glad that when they changed to NXT 2.0, they stopped calling shit Takeover, so that you can still be like, Takeover is the perfect pay-per-view. Like,
I mean, I would argue
streak.
that these past 3 AEW pay-per-views have been
up there.
near flawless shows.
And they're really spaced out. I was just talking to my buddy about that, because I go to his house. I go to his house to watch AEW, and he's like, I think the last time you were over here was Labor Day.
Yeah.
And I was like, it was a while ago.
Yeah. I mean, I love that. I love that. And we were talking about that. Yeah, it sucks paying $40, $50 for a pay-per-view, but you know what sucked worse? When we were doing that every single month.
Yeah. Also, just my one AEW beef, and I think you and I were texting about this. Yo, dude. Tony. Why are you doing this Sunday shit? Even WWE's realized Saturdays.
Fuck, man. So at one point, Tony Khan even said, I'm not going to run shows on Sundays unless it's a holiday. And that fucking ruled, because I am all about going to bed at a decent
I could not
time
believe
before
I was up
work.
at midnight on a Sunday watching a wrestling match.
So bad,
I was like,
it was so bad.
and a wrestling match that, while it was a very good match, was filled with every trope I can't stand in wrestling main events. Distractions, last second finger grabbing of the, like, I was just like, dude, it's midnight. Just fucking end the match. Yeah. We know that they're not taking the belt off of Hangman this fucking early. Just wrap this shit up so I can go to bed. Yeah. and that has nothing to do with the match quality, booking, nothing. No. That is just like, it is past 11 on a Sunday. Exactly. You need to tie a bow on this shit right the fuck now.
And it wasn't like, oh my God, you can either get rid of some of the shit or make it earlier. Like, I know.
I think I texted you about that. I'm like, why is this shit starting at 8?
Yeah.
Start that shit at like
pre-show
7.
At 6 and then start the regular show at 7. It's as easy as that.
Yeah, not every one of those matches was necessary.
No. Like, I get we're trying to show off Hook. I don't need a Hook match on the pre-show. I don't. I love Hook. I think Hook's awesome. I don't need a pre that on the pre-show.
You know what's the one plus I will give this show, though? And it was something that AEW needed to do for a while. This is like kind of an asterisk because there is the William Regal of it all. But like, I'm glad that there was an AEW pay-per-view that didn't end with some big, crazy, reveal. Like unexpected reveal. Like the William Regal thing felt enough like it could have been a one-off that it wasn't like, oh man, everything's getting crazy up in here. Like, because I think Coldaholics said it where they're just like, if you don't break that shit soon, it becomes the expectation every single pay-per-view that some big.
And I think it was. A little bit at the end of this. Yeah. I think it was.
Oh, I mean, me and my friend were staring at the screen like, where's Cesaro or
who's coming out?
Who's coming out? Yeah.
Or I don't know. Like, is this where we see the Young Bucks finally turn back to face and join Hangman? Like, what are we gonna do? And they didn't do that, and I'm okay with that because
not every pay-per-view needs to be the massive show.
That chain of events happening needs to stop because it does. It sets people up for their expectations. It's just like teasing an opponent for Brock Lesnar at the Madison Square Garden show and it being Austin fucking Theory.
Yeah. Well, and like that's where you also need like I felt this for a really long time that like WWE and all the other wrestling companies too, like it's great that you have a stacked card, but it should almost be like 2 separate seasons, right? Like I want to see one group of wrestlers whose storyline maybe starts at Survivor Series and ends at WrestleMania, and then the next day a whole new, like the other half of that roster is the storylines from like that point until SummerSlam. So you're giving like people like a 6-month break to like heal up their bodies, and you're not like just overwhelming us with the exact same characters and storylines.
People
and like
need seasons off.
Yeah, and you can maybe have 1 or 2 people that still keep floating through. Like if you really want to keep this like Reigns dynasty, like cool, Reigns is like one of the few people that sticks around throughout the whole year. But like,
maybe he doesn't need to work. Like maybe he just is the head of the table, and he's
it's fine with Brock Lesnar. Why not? Why not put that on?
Yeah, fuck it.
On Reigns for a little bit.
So closing out wrestling. We haven't brought it up yet, but shout out to Big E. I hope he heals because that was awful looking. And he,
I'm pretty sure we're not seeing him.
He does have a broken neck, so
yeah, I don't think we're seeing him at Mania next month, or I guess at the time that this comes out in a couple days. But yeah,
and I mean justice for the whole New Day. I mean their booking has been atrocious, but I mean. Yeah, I'll watch WrestleMania because it's WrestleMania, and I'll probably be with you.
And because you're going to be with this guy.
Exactly. So, guys, watch the Christmas Creature match, but overall, fuck Glenn Jacobs, and that's where I'm out. Merry Christmas, Matt.
Merry Christmas, Dylan.
Oh, now we won't stop till the big ball drops on New Year's. Have a happy holiday. Have a great holiday. Have a merry happy holiday.
Oh, hello there. I didn't see you come in. I'm Shane O'Hare of the Geekscape Games Podcast, the #1 video game podcast on the Geekscape.com. Network. Join myself, Derek Krenevelt, and a guest every fortnight as we discuss video game news, video game reviews, and dissections. That's Geekscape Games every 2 weeks on Geekscape.net.
You're listening to the Geekscape Network. You're listening to the Geekscape Network.